the San Francisco 49ers are finally showing signs of bouncing back in the National Football League. And today we're diving deep into everything that's been going on with this team. No fluff, no time-wasting intros. Straight to the heart of it. The latest updates surrounding the 49ers schedule are actually pretty favorable, which is already a big win. There's a lot to talk about, from travel distances to rest advantages. So let's break it all down. First off, there will be no international trips this season for the Niners. That might seem like a small thing on the surface, but if you know how taxing those overseas games can be, time zone changes, extended flights, disrupted routines, you'll understand why this is a massive relief. Avoiding that logistical headache is a blessing, especially for a team aiming to stay fresh and focused throughout a grueling NFL season. Moving on to something we've talked about before. Total travel mileage. For those who missed previous breakdowns, the 49ers are projected to cover the 5th highest travel distance this year. At first glance, that might seem like a disadvantage, but let's put it into perspective. When you stack them up against other West Coast teams, think Chargers, Rams, Seahawks, you realize that some of these squads actually rack up even more miles. That's the reality of being a West Coast franchise. The geography simply demands more travel. So while it's not ideal, it's not exactly a unique challenge for the Niners. They're pretty much in the middle of the pack when you compare them to their direct regional rivals. Now, let's talk about rest days and how those might impact the season. This is where things get a little trickier. We don't yet have a complete picture of how the Niners will stack up in terms of rest disparities compared to their opponents. But there's a crucial detail we already know. The 49ers won't be facing any team that's coming off a bye week this year. That's huge. If you follow the NFL long enough, you know how much of an edge a team can have coming off a full week of rest. Not having to deal with that situation, even once this season, is a major plus. In fact, the only way the Niners could have ended up in a significantly negative rest differential would have been by drawing multiple teams coming off bye weeks. That's not happening this year, so at worst, their rest situation should be average, maybe even slightly favorable. It's a stark contrast to last season, where the Niners were at a brutal disadvantage, facing opponents who had an extra 21 days of rest cumulatively throughout the year. That's not a small gap. It was a constant uphill battle, and this season feels like the NFL is throwing the Niners a bone, giving them a fair shot at managing their workload better. Another aspect worth discussing is primetime games. This season, the 49ers are slated for 5 games in those coveted evening slots. Depending on your perspective, this can be seen as either a blessing or a burden. Personally, I think 5 is the sweet spot. It's enough to keep the team in the national spotlight, but not so many that it becomes a logistical nightmare. Last year, the Niners had 6 primetime appearances, including 2 Thursday night games. Those short weeks really took a toll. Playing on Thursday means less time to recover, less time to prepare, and it throws off the rhythm of the entire schedule. Even with extended rest weeks elsewhere, it didn't balance out. This year feels different. The schedule looks more balanced, more stable. The primetime games the Niners do have seem manageable, both in terms of timing and opponent difficulty. And let's be honest, these are opportunities to make statements. You want to walk into those night games with confidence, ready to showcase what your team is capable of. It's a stage, and you need to own it. Now onto the bye week. This is always a hot topic. The placement of that rest week can be a game changer. For the Niners, their bye comes in week 14. That's pretty late, but it could be a strategic advantage. Every year we talk about the ideal bye week timing. If your team is gearing up for a playoff run, having a late bye can be a lifesaver. It allows players to recharge right before the most critical stretch of the season. Of course, there's a downside. Key veterans have to grind through a long series of games before they get that break. But if the 49ers are in playoff contention, that Week 14 bye might be the perfect moment to reset and refocus. That said, there's also a mini bye early in the season between weeks 5 and 6 following a Thursday night matchup. It's a brief respite, but it doesn't compare to a full bye week. From there, it's a long haul until that crucial Week 14 break. The silver lining is that if the team manages its depth well and avoids major injuries, they could hit the final stretch with a solid shot at peaking when it matters most. Now, let's talk about a season opener. The Niners kick off their campaign with a divisional matchup. Division games always carry extra weight, especially when they come right out of the gate. Some fans might dread starting the year with such a high-stakes contest, worried that Week 1 often feels like an extension of the preseason. And it's true. Teams are still ironing out kinks, players are shaking off rust, and surprises are common. But to me, this is exactly the kind of challenge that can set the tone for the entire season. You want to come out swinging, show the league what you're about. Win or lose, a divisional clash in Week 1 will reveal plenty about where this team stands. Think back to last year. The Niners won their opener, but the broader narrative was still skeptical. People thought it was just a fluke, an early win that wouldn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. And in some ways, that proved true. The team struggled to maintain consistency, but this time feels different. This opener is a real opportunity to establish momentum. It's a statement game, and whether they dominate or stumble, it'll provide crucial data on what needs to be fixed moving forward. The start of the schedule is a bit of a gauntlet. 2 of the first 3 divisional games are on the road. That's tough. One of those road games even falls on a Thursday night, compressing the prep time. But after that stretch, there's a more forgiving sequence of home games. By then, the Niners should have a clearer identity, having faced significant tests early on. If they navigate those initial hurdles well, they could position themselves strongly heading into the mid-season push. There's also the climate factor to consider. Last year, weather didn't wreak much havoc on the Niners' schedule, but it's always a variable. This season, they seem to have caught a break again. For instance, their late November road game is likely their last exposure to potential cold weather challenges. That's a win. Several of their other late season games are in climate-controlled environments or at home, reducing the risk of weather-related disruptions. Now, when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the back half of the schedule looks particularly inviting. 6 of the final 7 games are against teams that finished last season with losing records. Of course, past performance isn't always an indicator of future success, but it's hard to ignore how favorable this stretch appears. The Niners have a history of gaining momentum in November and December under their current coaching regime. Even in tough seasons, they've shown resilience late in the year. If they can capitalize on this softer part of the schedule, a strong playoff push is absolutely within reach. One more advantage: after the bye week, 3 of the next 4 games are at home. That's a huge edge, especially when you consider how grueling the early part of the season might be. Home field advantage is real, not just in terms of crowd energy, but also the comfort of routine and reduced travel fatigue. It's also worth reflecting on how much tougher last year's schedule was. The Niners faced a brutal combination of difficult opponents and a terrible rest differential. It was one of the hardest slates in the league, hands down. This year feels like a course correction. The league seems to have balanced things out, giving the Niners a fairer shot at success, especially important as they integrate younger players into key roles. Speaking of rookies, the timing of that late bye could actually be perfect for them. By week 14, those first-year players will have essentially completed the equivalent of a college season. That's when the fatigue really sets in. Giving them a chance to reset right before the playoff push could be the difference between hitting a rookie wall and making a meaningful impact down the stretch. You'd rather have that break later than earlier, allowing these young players to recharge and contribute when the stakes are highest. The second half of the season offers a golden opportunity. Even if the first few months are rocky, even if the win-loss record isn't quite where fans hoped, there's a real path to making noise in the playoff race. This schedule was built for a strong finish. It's about pacing, surviving the early turbulence, and capitalizing on the back-end advantages. Beyond the schedule itself, there's also excitement brewing off the field. A new uniform design was teased recently, tapping into a nostalgic connection with the Oregon Trail and the Golden Trail. The reveal was playful, even a bit frustrating, leaving fans hanging on it to be a continued cliffhanger. But the anticipation is real. Everyone's eager to see how this new look will unfold, and there's a genuine buzz around the team because of it. As for predicting win totals, that conversation is better saved for later once we have more data on point differentials, opponent strength, and how the team gels during preseason. Still, a target of 10 wins seems reasonable. It won't be easy. No season is. But considering last year's struggles and the off-season adjustments, it's a fair benchmark. The offense has retained its core identity, leaving room for further growth. Defensively, there are big changes. But leadership is strong, and if the rookies step up early, there's every reason to believe in this group's potential. Health will always be the wild card, but with a more balanced schedule and fewer systemic disadvantages, the Niners are in a much better position to succeed this time around. We're just a couple of weeks away from the next phase of preseason activities, and the excitement is building. Training camps, roster battles, depth chart shakeups, it's all right around the corner. This season is shaping up to be something special. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a shocking turn of events, Christian McCaffrey, one of the most dynamic running backs in the NFL, has left the San Francisco 49ers in a surprising trade that has left the football world stunned. McCaffrey, who has been a key player for the 49ers since being acquired in a mid-season trade last year, is now officially out of San Francisco, marking the end of a chapter that seemed poised for a long and prosperous partnership. McCaffrey's departure, which was confirmed late last night, has sent ripples through the NFL, with fans and analysts alike questioning the reasoning behind such a bold move. McCaffrey, who has been a versatile weapon for the 49ers offense, displaying both exceptional rushing and receiving skills, was expected to play a crucial role in a team's Super Bowl aspirations. His ability to impact the game in numerous ways made him one of the most valuable players in the league. The trade deal came as a surprise, especially given McCaffrey's undeniable talent and the 49ers championship caliber roster. The 49ers had seemingly built their offense around McCaffrey, using him as a focal point in both the running and passing game. His all-around contributions last season have propelled the team to one of the league's most potent offenses. But with this trade, the 49ers have opted for a new direction, one that has left many questioning the team's long-term strategy. Details surrounding the trade remain scarce, with both teams involved keeping a tight lid on the specifics. However, insiders suggest that the 49ers were motivated by a need to free up cap space and reallocate resources to other areas of their roster. With McCaffrey's departure, the 49ers are expected to rely more heavily on their defense and quarterback play, hoping to maintain their competitiveness without the added financial strain of McCaffrey's contract. For McCaffrey, this trade represents a new beginning. His remarkable ability to dominate on the field has made him a sought-after player, and many teams will no doubt be lining up to secure his services. As one of the most versatile and talented backs in the league, McCaffrey's skills will continue to be a game-changer for any team lucky enough to acquire him. The 49ers' decision to part ways with McCaffrey has left fans with a mixture of disbelief and confusion. Many had hoped to see the 49ers return to the Super Bowl with McCaffrey leading the charge. But now they face a new reality, one where the team will need to find new ways to fill the void left by their star running back. The coming days will reveal how this move impacts the 49ers' long-term plans. But for now, the NFL world is left in suspense, awaiting the next chapter in this stunning saga. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.